Hey everyone, welcome back to the AI in Action podcast. I'm your host, Mazor, Kario, product design and AI expert, and the creator of the online leaders program, Unlocking the Power of Generative AI. And today we're taking a deep dive into the world of AI entertainment, exploring how this transformative technology is changing the way we create, consume, and interact with media. Joining us is Yonatan Dor. Hi, Yonatan. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that you're here. Yonatan Dor is the founder of the Dor Brothers, a leading AI video production company, and we'll be discussing the implications of deepfake, the rise of AI influencers, and how AI is poised to reshape the entire entertainment industry and our understanding of our world. Now we can start.
Let's go.
Let's go. So you're known for creating some deepfake videos, right? So I guess the people who listen to us or the videos are not really aware of these videos. Could you tell us a bit about them, and then you could tell us what are your thoughts on the potential benefits and risks of deepfake?
So first of all, I think the word deepfake means many things to many different people. I don't think we
Right.
necessarily create deepfake videos. We just make very viral, fun AI videos. I guess lately that's what we're known for. The implications, I mean, that's an infinite conversation. You want to start there?
Yeah, but could you just describe the videos themselves? I thought at the beginning I would say it, so you might have seen this video, but I'm sure that you'll describe it much better than
Okay.
I did. So the latest ones that are related to politicians and tech giants, and how do you see these videos creating them?
So the videos, for who doesn't know, it was basically like a spoof video with, like, you see a lot of very popular personas like Trump, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and they're basically just doing muggler, like shoplifting, doing some petty, not maybe that's not a petty crime, doing some gangster crimes. Yeah, but it was taken in a more comedical sense. So it looks realistic maybe, but there's a lot of like silly jokes sprinkled into the video that make it obvious that it's not a real
Yeah, like
malicious deepfake.
the lizards that came with Mark Zuckerberg, for example.
Exactly.
It was
And
like an
also with,
iguana, I think, or something like that.
yeah, I wrote lizard in the prompt, so whatever came out, came out,
Yeah, yeah. And when you created that, other than the fact that you knew that people will be very engaged and interested in them, did you think about what could be the implications of these kinds of videos?
So I thought about it differently. I thought, what could be the implications of these kind of videos if they were made in a purely malicious intent? So what I like to tell people when they ask me about why you make this kind of stuff, I say, imagine there's two universes. One of them is a very malicious person who wants to topple a government or start a war, and he creates those kind of videos in a very convincing way with a very smart hook that might actually catch on the news and make people believe it happened, and thus creating a terrible world where we go in a downslope spiral towards terrible outcomes. Or a universe where I created the video I created, which is like a comical, fun thing that many people enjoyed and understood it's not a malicious, evil video, and thus educating society about what could be, but introducing it in a way that's very lighthearted and easygoing.
Yeah.
That's the
So
two options I saw.
it's like just making people think about this option in a more entertaining and a comic way of seeing it. But I think that most people, when they see it, for you, it might be very obvious that it's not true. But if they see only parts of it or maybe 2 seconds out of it, they need to rethink: is it true or is it not actually?
Right. I mean, in the end of the day, you can make what you make, and anybody out there can spin it the way they want to spin it. So that's unfortunately out of my control, and the malicious actors will be malicious however they can. But yeah, I mean, I think the big impact was more like satirical and fun than whatever spin somebody tried to do afterwards.
Yeah. So what is your definition of deepfake? How would you see it?
So I look at it in a more technical way because for us, like when the AI production companies, deepfake is literally just like a face swap mechanism. Just like here, like for you, for example, when you see a traditional deepfake, is like you see Donald Trump speaking on a podium, but is wishing Adi a happy birthday instead of like
Hmm.
talking about whatever is happening politically. That's
Yeah.
the deepfake for me. It's
What
more
you're
like this.
saying, he's not talking about me. surprisingly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somehow he hasn't got into it so far.
Yeah.
But that's what deepfake means to me. It's more like this, like uncanny valley, almost realistic, trying to fool you type of thing. But what I
Hmm.
was doing is more like obviously not real. Nobody saw Trump with a pistol in a supermarket yesterday, type of thing.
Not yet.
Not yet, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you let's take the other side. Someone who's really malicious, who would like
Hmm.
to convey an idea or persuade people to think in a certain way. What could be the implications of someone who has the technical abilities, the power and capabilities, and maybe the connections in order to make it real and that people will believe in that? What could be the implications?
Well, I think somebody much smarter than me. His name is Sam Harris. It's a person I like listening to here and there. And he was saying that he thinks the internet is basically going to be a useless place, which is just it will have to be replaced because the way it's going now, it's like if you're already going on Twitter or Facebook, around half the comments you're reading are not even real people. It's just bots who are trying to incite you to say
Right.
something or interact with them. And there's a funny meme about that people go like, let's say people are fighting in the comments about, no, Trump did this or he did that. And then they write him like, please write me a 5 sentence haiku about sunflowers. And then it writes it because it's just like a bot, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
right.
of course, I personally believe the internet is just not a place to gather real information. Yeah, you can check out what's happening, but it should always be with like one eye open. Because, first of all, misinformation is obviously we have different political spectrums and every spectrum wants you to believe whatever it is they believe, so
Sure.
most of the time when you're reading something it's just not true or it's just slightly true with like a political skew towards what they want you to believe. So
Sure.
anyway, if you're going on the internet you're like, I read this so it must be true, then you're not doing a smart thing in the first place.
Yeah,
So I
but
don't
that
think,
relates to media and propaganda, and you had it before the TV or before the radio, so it's the same thing, just
yes,
better tools to do
and
that.
that's why I think AI will not. It will make a difference in the fact that it will be much more convincing stuff, but maybe it will be a good thing because people will stop finally believing every garbage they read on the internet. You know what I mean? And
Okay.
maybe it's time for
Yeah.
humanity to stop believing any garbage they see because it actually incites more problems. Because if there's a war and somebody says they did this and then it goes super viral and everybody said you saw what they see and it's actually not true, it doesn't matter if it's not true because the lie has been spread so far that people take it as truth by now. So it's a terrible thing anyway. So
Yeah.
hopefully the amount of garbage AI will produce will help people believe more selected information rather than anything they see on the internet.
So what you're saying that we will not be able to trust anything actually. So if we trust maybe some of the media sites or some of the information, now we cannot trust anything anymore.
I think it's already the case. I think just look at any political issue. There's a website. I forgot how it's called, but what they did is they show you a problem. Let's say now I don't know some political thing in America,
Yeah.
and on the main page they show you here's what 52 articles wrote. Here's what 100 articles wrote. These ones are more left wing bias, and this one are more right wing, and this one are more center, and here you go, this is everything spread out, take of it what you will. But if you go directly
Yeah.
to one article and you don't know the political bias, then the chance you're reading the pure truth is just astronomical, like
Yeah,
in
the
any
question
case.
is what is the real truth from the beginning. So
Right.
the way I perceive the information and my experience will color everything in my life and my views and what I see in the end. And it's very hard to understand it in the same way. But what we see in the last, like, I think like 10, maybe 20 years, 10 years for sure, is that people are going to the extremes. And you see that from social media and other places that people are not staying somewhere in the gray areas. They're going to the black and white, and they're always trying to see the other side as very different or very stupid or very mean,
Hmm.
whatever. Do you think it's going to be better when once we understand that we cannot really trust anything said to our side as the other side, or not?
It might be better, depends on the alternative we find. Because if we don't find an alternative and nobody trusts anything, that's pure chaos, you know? But
Right.
I'm a big fan of physical, real life human beings, like going. Because usually, like, let's say now you wake up in the morning and you go on whatever Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and everything is always terrible and people are being beaten up and this group did that and this group is the worst group in the world and everybody hates this guy. And then you go outside and you talk to real human beings like, no, I'm chill with everything, man. That's like the
Yeah.
average response a human being will give you. But the internet is trying to make you sad and depressed and angry, and you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's just not a good.
It's like inciting bad feelings because we are
Yes.
more derived to see and view and even to be into a very bad situation when we see it, because it's more catching. Like if we see somebody is, I don't know, being murdered and somebody just sitting and being happy, we would probably, from our evolution, be more prone to go to that direction. And because these platforms need our eyeballs and they need our attention, they will grasp our attention in any way they could, meaning in that way, in bad ways.
Yes. And that's why I think the issue here is that there's a divide between humans that's not really caused by humans, it's caused by algorithms. And I think most humans want a peaceful existence and a peaceful choices to make, but unless we solve this weird algorithmical separation problem, I don't know how we will solve the human problem.
Yeah. In one of my previous interviews, we said that because AI could do so many human things, so many things that are perceived as purely human, being creative, being empathic, being funny, whatever, it could make us more human. And one of the comments in this video was, yeah, really, AI would make us more human. And it was like this smiley, laughing face. And for me, just to rethink about it, if everything we see is bots, let's say all the comments more or less, or 80% or 70% of the comments are bots, and in the future we'll have more connections with these kinds of bots or even robots, so what does it mean really? Why do we need humans in our lives, and does it really mean to be human? What do you think about
I
it?
don't know. Do you have an answer to that question? Because I
I
don't.
told him that yeah, it might sound really funny. Like, how would AI make us more human? And I think that what you're saying right now, with the fact that we should not trust, we should question what is being taught, or maybe even are we being brainwashed in some of the circumstances through media and other sources, would make us really think, what does that mean? And maybe even like it's a pendulum, going to one
Mhm.
direction. Everything is all is virtual, right? My teacher, my therapist, my friends, everything is virtual. And then it will make us go to the other direction. As you say, like face to face, I want to see nature, I want to see a tree, right? So maybe the fact that it's going to the extremes will take us, in some cases, to the other side. But I'm not sure.
I believe so. Like I'm writing a little AI TV show, and a lot of the parts there are like there's the rebels and there's the people who just go with the flow. And I think the rebels will live in phone-free zones, and they will do a lot of like anti-technology things just because they want to stay human. And there's a topic that I like to bring up. I think the main dilemma here is something I like to call the brain heroin machine. Because let's say now we're 10, 20, whatever, 30 years in the future, and you have an AI that can just plug into your brain and make all your wishes come true, whether it's, I don't know, sensations or fulfill you in any kind of way that you want to be fulfilled. Is that something we want? I don't know. Because, for example, imagine it has access to all your brain chemistry and it can click all the right buttons at every given moment. Isn't that the ultimate utopia for a human? Probably
Yeah.
not. That's the
It's like the
instinct, right?
Matrix, right?
Yeah,
You're going into
basically.
the Matrix, actually.
Basically. But what they said in the Matrix, which was the point, is I think Neo asked the agent, why are you doing this to us? And he said, in the original simulation, we created a utopian world without suffering, but you guys didn't accept it, so we had to give you suffering, and that's the only way you believe it. You know, and that's why the simulation theory says that probably what you're living right now is the ultimate simulation, because it's perfectly adjusted to make you believe it's true.
It's like in the Rick and Morty episodes, when he went to, I think that he created his own like optimal area, and he placed a bathroom in there, and he was in this utopia just sitting there, right?
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But then
it's
it was
this.
like, yeah, it's boring. I'm gonna go back to
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like it's like you're unsettled all the time. You need to find something. And what would you do with this life if it was so boring? You cannot do it, right?
right.
But when I'm thinking about AI right now, everybody sees that as, yeah, it's really nice. We could have like, let's say AI influencers. That's a good example, right? So instead of following someone who's very pretty and nice looking, I would have someone who's actually perfect, right? That's one thing. And second, we could relate to it and easily communicate with it. So there are already influencers who created bots based on their own voice and their own personality. And you could talk to this bot believing that you're talking to the influencer, which is right now a real person. But you could take it one step further, and then there will not be even one girl behind the AI influencer. You would have only the AI influencer and you could talk to it. And that's it.
Maybe let's jump a step forward into the future, which is the same topic, but it's the most controversial topic, I think, because that's the thread that humanity will hang by. So, what is going to happen? Let's say now you're married, and you know, marriage is not easy, and many people these days don't want to be married because it's not easy, and we like quick, easy, fun, fulfilling, not fulfilling, actually, joyful, easy interactions.
Sure.
What's going to happen in the future?
What do you think? Would you like to have this kind of future? Yeah. Yeah, so of course. Yeah. Currently you have replica. Do you know, I guess you know replica. So let's say that you have a bot and you could decide how it would look, and the next step is just to make it physical. But let's say that currently you have it virtually, and people are having very intimate connections with these bots, and they are falling in love with these bots, and this is part of the promise of this product. And more than that, if people seem to have a real life or a real connection going out and dating in order to have retention for this product, this bot will tell them, you're not with me anymore, you don't love me anymore, come back to the relationship. Yeah, because it's retention, it's user retention, coming back to the virtual world, which is always, yeah, to something which is perfect and really built for you specifically, for your needs, for your dreams, forever. And of course, yeah, yeah, even if they have a fight with you, it's because they know that you want to fight and then to make up, right? So it's like it's always going in front of you in their mind, and it's built for you. It's like something which is built perfectly for you. Like let's say, like I think about all the comedians saying like girls, they don't understand football or basketball or baseball, whatever, and that's part of, I cannot relate to this person because he cannot be with my understanding of the world and all of that, right? And if you have someone that is built for you, she could be a girl in any sense and a woman, but she could understand who's LeBron James and you could talk to her about LeBron James, right? So just building something which is perfectly built for you. And as I see it, I think that people would be very attracted. And by the way, she would always remember everything. So she would not forget that, Thursdays you're going out to see the game with your friends and it's important. No, but she's built in order to forget what you want her to forget, right? So she would not quarrel with you because you forgot her birthday or something. She would be, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, maybe it's not attractive because it's like a friend, like a boyfriend, and not like a girlfriend. If she does, yeah, it's a bro. I don't want to go to bed with a bro. I need a man. It's the same thing. But yeah, but they will get more sophisticated and understand what you need. And one more thing, I think, like if you see it as a relationship, throughout the relationship, she would always be adjusted to your needs, right? She won't have like, I know, like after she's pregnant and she has kids and then she's different, or she wants to go to have a new career and then whatever. So you won't have any adjustments that you need to do in your life because she always be aligned with your, if you change, with your changes, right? So it's like it's the perfect thing. I would say first, maybe I'm old fashioned, right? So I was born in a place where you hardly had TV. So maybe I'm like, a Neanderthal. But how do I see humanity? How do I see people? I think that people need to grow and needs to be curious about their future, and they cannot have any control. So the main thing that will dominate their lives is the fact that they want to control everything. So that's why I would decide for someone who is a bot, because it's all controllable, more or less. I believe that it's built for me, and I don't need to change, and I don't need to suffer on the way, and I don't need to fight anyone, and I would be comfortable. But you cannot overcome the fact that you cannot control life, and life happens. So in the end, you have a body. In the end, you live in the real world, and in the end, you need to go somewhere and do something. Doesn't matter. Yeah, because if they don't need us for work, so we wouldn't need to do anything. That's what you're saying. I don't know. I don't go that far. Maybe it's like I don't see or they will be from the other side. So they will be the ones who go against it, and they will not agree to be that way. And again, what does it mean to have a good life as a human? What does it mean to have an experience of life? And I think it's a big question when you're thinking about it. Right now, it seems like, okay, so we'll have more virtual entities, let's go it this way, part of our lives. Maybe it will be a major part, or maybe it will be a very small part. Doesn't matter. But the question is, what does it mean to have a good life? And as I see it, if you don't grow and if you don't experience a real connection and real human beings, I don't think it's worth it. Yeah, real love and real heartbreaks, real ones. But you could say, okay, I can make an AI lover that will break your heart if you want it. I can do that, right? Yeah. Would you? Yeah, but you could see your life right now. So if we're thinking about people who lived like, I know, 200 years ago, their life was much, much harder, and they needed to be in the real world all the time and to control, I know, if they could live if in this weather, or even survive, right? And we're getting more and more comfortable in our lives, and we get to the point like you have like in there was this movie with Evie, the small robot. Do you remember? Wally, yeah, and Evie was his girlfriend. That's what you think. Yeah, these they had these like I know these like small chairs, moving chairs that they have screen in front of them, and they get like the food and they drink it all the time, and they get this chubby, right? Just yeah. And when you're thinking about it, we're heading to that direction. Just thinking about I'm not thinking about like people in the future. I'm talking right now. People would prefer to be at home, right? If you want. If you need to work, you could work from the couch. If you need to get fed, you could order something. And if you want to be entertained, you just open the TV or whatever, or listen to a podcast, whatever. So you don't need to do anything. And it seems that humanity is seeking for the comfort. They want to be. It's offensive, but we're all weak. Yeah, yeah. Ah, you mean physically strong? You need to be able to survive mentally. Yeah. Ah, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm doing, by the way. Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. I agree with what you're saying. I think that the most people would think that being comfortable and doing less and having more control over your life, over the air condition and over the sofa and over the content in Netflix and over the relationship, if they could, they would be very content, because the unknown is scary and they want to avoid it. The content is something else, because being content is it needs meaning, and you cannot find meaning in something that is so comfortable and you don't need to do anything for. Yeah. Right. On the other side, you have like the extreme on that side of saying like you need to have grit, you need to have the Mamba mentality, Kobe, right? So this is what you need in order to be. Yeah, yeah, of course, Tony Robbins and what's the name of? Oh, I forgot the guy. I will remember it afterwards. That he says that who would build the boat? Who would build? What's his name? Oh, I forgot. Higgins? Maybe his name is Higgins. No, he's like he went through, I know, marathons and triathlons and all of that, and he was a marine and is like this kind of a guy. I think, yeah. Yeah, I think that these people are going to the real world, and it doesn't matter if they have the mentality in order to do so or the strength physically in order to do so. They want to act upon the real world and to have results or even failures and learn from them in the real world. And if you want to confront this kind of reality, you need strength, as you call it. And if you don't want, or you're afraid of doing it, you're weaker in that sense, and you're not exercising your ability to play upon the world and to do something on the world. And then you're getting weaker and weaker, because all you do is just sit around and do less. That's what people are actually doing in most cases. And in general, the question is, when you're really comfortable, Is it good for you? Because most people would say, of course, I want more money, so I'll do less. I want to have a good relationship because I don't need to confront anything. I want to have body because it will be thin and healthy, and then I would not need to go to the doctor and be sick, whatever. So everybody is aspiring to have this kind of life. But the question is it worth it if you're not doing any effort and you're not growing? Because if you're comfortable on the sofa, you would not do anything to change it, right? So is it worth it? What's the meaning of that? I'll test it. Like the middle ground, like somewhere in the middle. Yeah, yeah. So when we're thinking about the AI revolution, we're saying, okay, some people will go to that direction, but many people will go to the other direction in order to have some kind of balance between people who are going all the way through their whole life being in virtual world, and some people say, no, we're going to the other direction and we want to go back to, I know, to living in tents in the nature, whatever. It depends if you want to do it, right? If you're into it. Yeah, like the movie AI. Do you remember Spielberg's movie AI? It's a good movie. It's not like AI as we understand it like 40 years later. But it's related to robots and how would we see robots and the connection with robots. And then there is this guy who's like going and killing the older robots because they're not efficient anymore, or society doesn't need them, and they're escaping. So I think I think, but it's not as good. I have to try it. So if we're going back to the entertainment and advertising industry, how do you see that evolving when we have this kind of relationship with technology? We have AI influencer and AI generated content, and we don't need any actors and writers and filmmakers. What would happen to the entertainment industry in that way? Writers, I think it was a writer's strike because everything that they ever wrote was taken. I'm saying that it was the writers who had this strike like a year ago because all their scripts were automatically taken. I think the video creation was a year ago not as good as right now. So the actors were not into the strike as much, but the writers, meaning text information, is like the basics for LLM, and then they were the ones to do the strike. Right, right, yeah. I think that what comes to my mind is like sports, for example. If we I'm talking about basketball because I have three boys and they're in the NBA. But let's take Messi for example. If I don't know who Messi is, and I just see a very good uh, um, a football player, that's it. He's really, really, really good. I don't really care. But the fact that I know that he was like a young boy and he got these injections to be better, and then he went through this sports league from coming from Argentina all the way, whatever. So the story is the connection to this guy called Messi, and he's very talented. But if he was only talented, I don't think I would really care. Yeah, but when they get really good, let's say in 10, 15 years from now, you could learn about this AI character since he was born, all the way that he was in kindergarten. Yeah. No, I'm saying that you would know Gary Kasparov since he was really, really small. So you get it attached to this kind of person. So you have a human virtual connection, and you're into this person. You're interested in learning how he grew to be Kasparov. And in the end, you see his game because you have this connection with this personality or this specific player in that case. I think that once we have this connection, and it will look like humans, it will relate to me like humans, it could talk to me. Right now, I could not talk to Messi because he could not talk to anyone because he has life. But let's say he could talk. I don't know. Right now, AI could understand emotions much better than some of the humans, and it could get better and better doing so. So I'm just imagining like 10 years from now, he could understand my facial expressions and my tone. He could relate to me as a person, and he would look like a person. Let's say that will not be, it will be all the, right now it's a bit slow and it takes time, and rendering takes time, and it doesn't look exactly like human. But let's say that I do see it like a real human and I could relate to it. So even just imagining having this kind of a connection would make it more interesting. And then let's say I'm talking to Messi and he speaks in my language. Of course, I don't know Spanish, but let's say he speaks in my language and I relate to him. And then I go to see him in a game. of course I would like him to win. I'm really interested in this person, virtual person. So we are not there yet, but we could be there kind of easily. What do you think? Right, right, right. Wow. How do you know that? Did you read it somewhere? You cannot trust anything, right? Wow. Wow. Just basic things, which I think is very important for a human being, is taking from our lives and we're willingly doing it. So, human connection, intimacy, sun, going outside, just using our bodies, laughing. It's all free and it's the most important thing you need as a human. But you need replacements right now. So it's like you cannot have a good friend, you need a therapist. You cannot just go outside, you need someone to train you. You cannot go to the sun because it's dangerous. You cannot eat healthy because the food is not that healthy. So you need a dietitian. And everything needs to be covered. But usually just thinking about what human being needs, that's what he needs. And instead of having a big career and lots of money, maybe it's better just to invest in something which is so, so simple and even free. Yeah, that sounds good. Right. It's hard. That's the reason it's hard, right? It's really hard just thinking about having a farm. I just finished a course. Each year I study something and it's always related to something that is not related to my profession. So that's the basic goal. And I learned permaculture. So thinking about a farm and having a land and nourishing the land and getting connected to the plants and animals. And when I think about it, yeah, it sounds great, but who really wants to be a farmer when you could just sit in the air condition and sit in front of a screen and do much, much less? Yeah, yeah. How long? And then, when we went to people who is doing these kinds of lives, they need to consume much less and have less variety and have less possibilities because they're not living this kind of life. And what makes them content? Again, say that's the question. Will we be content? And I don't know if we could be. You could try it. Yeah. So what do you think is the most significant social implications of AI? And when you're thinking about jobs and politics and the relationship with these entities, I think we could take 5-10 years. Let's talk about that. Yeah, maybe. But I think that these companies, especially with third party closed source, would have more and more power. And I don't know if open source would catch up or not. I don't know how it would that be, but for sure regulations. What did you mean? Yeah, maybe. But the regulations would say, okay, we need something which is controllable, and when it's open source, we cannot control it. So they're seeking for the regulations that are needed on one side, and on the other side, they will avoid any kind of competition for them. The question is, let's say that they have more power. What would be with all the people who would have less ways, to just, that's a question. Yeah, because you need them. And yeah, yeah, I understand what you're saying, because it's not only the fact that they would want power, because this is something that we've seen in the history of humankind, that they will have more ways to control. So they will have more, I know, tools, and it will be much easier to control people once they're reliant on some kind of technology, right? So it's much harder to change the land and to change the country. And it's much, much easier to change an algorithm that will change people. That's for sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. I'm just reminded what you said about the actors. So you're saying, okay, let's say that we need an actor, but we need much less of them, or we don't need post-production, or we don't need production, and we don't need a cameraman, or we don't need someone from doing the audio and sound, or even if we do have someone who is I know, Brad Pitt, it would stay Brad Pitt, but you need it only once, and you could create 10,000 movies based on one. You're right. But once you could control the storyline, or you could be part of it, or you could relate to talk to the characters on the way, and you'd be part of it, maybe it will be more engaging, and then you will spend more time if you're going into a movie and being part of it. But you have that in gaming. It's not that complicated as a movie, but it's almost there. And gaming, right, right, right. And did you? I think just a few days ago, I saw that AI created. Yeah, exactly. I saw that. Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. So again, like something that looks like sci-fi would make you think about your reality, and it takes me back to this comment. Really, AI will make us more human. I think that it will make us question what does that mean to have a decent and a good life, and how could we be content and have meaning to that life if everything is done virtually and easily and without any kind of struggle. And I think that the fact that people are aspiring to have less pain and more comfort, being comfortable, is like, yeah, we're human. We don't want to fight and we don't want to injure ourselves, and we just want to be comfortable having everything. But the question is, once we have that, what would our minds make us do in order to be more interesting? Just not being bored, even, right? Just to have something meaningful in your life. And you already see that in many people's, like, let's take like politics in a very wealthy country. When you're thinking relatively to a very poor country or very hard country to live in. So people who are having hard lives, they just do anything they could do in order to survive and to add food on the plates. And the people who are like, they have too much time, they would, you could see that all around what's going on there. They're just seeking something that will give them meaning. And it's not always a good result for that. Sure. Sure, sure. Thank you, Yonatan, for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Very interesting and flowing, and thanks for that. Sure. And where could people hear more about your work and contact you? Yeah. So it's been a pleasure having you. I would recommend everyone to check your work, which is very interesting and inspiring. And to all of you change makers out there, thank you for joining us. I'll see you next week with another innovative, insightful talk. See ya. Bye bye.